Welcome back to Fox 11 News in Depth. I'm Hal Eisner. For some people, it's been nearly a year and a half since they've been in their workplace. That's a really long time. For other workers, they just never got a chance to be anyplace else. It's pretty obvious that this pandemic has not treated all workers equally, and the reopening of California is not going to leave everyone on an equal footing as well. What rights do workers have in this ever-evolving scenario? Joining us to talk about all of this is employment attorney Angela-Reddock-Wright. And, you know, first of all, thanks for being with us. And it is a very strange time, isn't it?
Indeed, new times for all of us, evolving daily.
And as the state reopens its economy on June 15th, that means all kinds of doors start to open up. And for many people, that means going back to the workplace.
Exactly. And what employees want to think about as they return to the workplace is first they want to ensure that their employers have taken the steps to ensure a healthy and safe work environment. For those employees who have been vaccinated, they are probably in a pretty good position of feeling safe and comfortable in the workplace. Those employees that have not been vaccinated, whether it be for medical or other reasons, really need to think about any underlying health issues or other issues that they may have that may make it unsafe for them to go back to the workplace. And employers have a duty, employers have the right to require that employees be vaccinated in order to return to work. And the only exception to that rule is if an employee has a medical issue that keeps them from being vaccinated, or they have religious reasons and bases for not being vaccinated. And even in such instances, the employee has to request reasonable accommodation and go through an interactive process with the employer.
This is all new territory for everybody, really, employees and employers. And, you know, it may be that the workforce comes back in, and it may well be that the employer can ask somebody in the workforce, have you been vaccinated? Because I guess they do have that right legally. I mean, I'm hearing all kinds of issues on that, and even potentially lawsuits. But the thing is that when you have people come into your business, whether it's a third-party vendor or somebody else, I don't know that you can ask them if they've been fully vaccinated. Can you?
Right. Those rules will be different. And in fact, County Medical Officer Barbara Farah announced this morning that there still will be requirements as it relates to public entities such as schools or public transit locations or healthcare facilities. Employers in those instances, because of the large interface with the public, will be able to require masking and social distancing, but they cannot necessarily ask if you've been vaccinated or require you to be vaccinated in order to enter their premises.
All right, so let's say a worker decides they don't want to get vaccinated. What should they do?
If an employee does not want to be vaccinated, first, the employer has a right to ask if they be vaccinated. And if the employee chooses not to, they only have two bases to maintain that position. One is that they have a medical issue and they will need a doctor's note indicating that they cannot be vaccinated. The note doesn't have to indicate the reasons or the underlying health condition, but simply that the employee cannot be vaccinated. And then the employer will have to take that employee through what we call an interactive process to see what other options to coming back to the work location physically or in the environment where others perhaps are not vaccinated. What options are there to have this employee continue working? Employees can also assert religious reasons. In that instance, there's still an interactive process that's required, but what it may look like is getting a letter from the employee's priest or pastor or someone that's saying, based on our religious beliefs and our religious edicts, our parish, the members of our parish and the members of our congregation are not individuals who are vaccinated, and we're against vaccinations.
Can an employee be fired for not getting vaccinated?
An employee can be fired, but I think most employers are going to be really thoughtful before they just fire an employee. They're going to think about whether there are any other options, whether there's an opportunity for the employee to continue working remotely. And because the issues are still evolving, some employers may actually say, you know what, we'll give everyone a few months to decide that they feel comfortable returning to work before we mandate that they return to work. So I think, and particularly because employers are having so much difficulty recruiting people and getting folks to come back to their jobs, I think that most employers are going to be pretty flexible.
Yeah, you know, as we said, this is very uncharted territory. And so as people start to creep back into their workplaces, they're going to feel some personal anxiety as well. Look, I hadn't been here in this studio for 15 months. And when I came back, I was excited. So I didn't have the anxiety. But there may be others who are feeling like, I don't know how to feel about this. What do you want to tell them?
Yes, if they have anxiety, really they should talk to their employer. They should talk to human resources to see what options are there or what steps is the company taking to ensure that we will be in a safe work environment. What social distancing will be in place? Will masks be required? Will you provide temperature checks? Will you, if you're interfacing with the public, will there be shields up so that you're protected from that direct interface? Really start with the company to see what they're doing, because I think many employees will be pleasantly surprised to see the many steps that most employers are taking to make sure that employees and customers and vendors and clients all feel safe in that environment.
It feels to me, and we'll wrap it up on this note, it feels to me like, you know, employers have had to deal with sensitivities for 15 months, for a year and a half. Seems to me it probably won't change suddenly on June 15th, that those sensitivities that may have been employed in the past may continue on. Thank you so much for joining us. And